Yeah, welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show. Today is November 27, 2022. Today we're going to be discussing about President Barrow's mid-day farmer store that is going on, and then we're going to give our analysis to see what is going right with the tour and what is it that is not going right. We also want to look at the situation of the country in terms of the challenges we're facing and how to mitigate that. So I have my co-host, Sam Cisse from Indiana. Sam, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
I'm your host here, Mumudu, from New York. So we might get some of our panelists joining us later on, but as of now, we're just gonna go straight to the topic. Sam, what do you think about this store entirely? We have seen people coming from Barra all the way to Badibu and others. And the president's been welcome and he's making statement talking about agriculture, what farmers need to do to produce um they are coming to produce more and sustain agriculture. He also went to Kerawan and he said that he built a skill center there, but none of the youths are participating in these skills centers that he built. So he's trying to shift blames to the farmers, to the youths, to the citizens for not taking charge of their own destiny. He's saying that the country is hard, the world is hard, the entire world, things are hard everywhere, so people should be creative and be responsible, for their well-being. So my question here is, what is your take on him shifting the blames to the, to the citizens for not acting or not taking, things under their own hands and trying to make life easier for them? What is your take on that? And then do you think what he's saying actually is feasible? The citizens can just go ahead and then create things, create their own wealth or create their own jobs without the president or the government supporting them. What is your take on that?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sawani. This is a very important question. And also, there's a lot of things in that question as well. First, I would say, yes, it is a constitutional mandate for the president to go out and meet the farmers, like we've known has been happening since President Jawara's time. You know, the question to me is the things to analyze from a leadership standpoint. And I look at is as a leader, you want to be able to really analyze the situation in the country and make decisions because not only numbers tell you something, but situations also tell you something to take different actions. When you look at situations, you look at numbers, they tell you something that when you analyze them, you know that there is something that needs to happen, which means actions. So actions need to be taken. And one of those actions from a president's standpoint is if you have a country in a situation like Gambia, and you have two mandates, you have a mandate that says twice in a year you need to go meet the farmers. But that twice a year also comes along with expenses. Looking at one of them is a $10 million expense. $10 million expense. Is it feasible as a president? Is it feasible to go spend $10 million just to go around and meet the people? And when you go to meet the people, you're selling your politics in that. Okay, that's smart to do that from a president standpoint. But in reality, is it good for our economy to go spend $10 million for you and your entourage on all the expenses that you incur during that period? Is it feasible to go do that when you know that you have hospitals that are lacking a lot of medical tools and supplies, and you know that that 10 million can really be put into something very useful? than this. So can you cut your tour to one in a year? Yes, even though it's a mandate. In fact, I gave, I always talk on WhatsApp more than what I spend online with. I put it in there. I challenged the National Assembly to really cut down to once a year. Once a year is enough for the president. The remaining part should be follow-up visits by the ministers, by the respective ministers. If the president makes a tour once a year and go visit the farmers and meet the people, and goes with the agriculture minister, the health minister, education minister. These are the people that need to accompany the president and maybe fisheries, for certain areas that do a lot of fishing. But I know a lot of fishing is happening in the Combo area than in the Upper River Divisions areas. So going with the few respective ministers that really have hands in it and that really need to be answering questions and be able to be tasked for their part of responsibility is important. And after the tour, the once a year tour with those ministers should turn around, put some actions in place and put some follow-ups in place. They can follow up and then be giving the president feedback so that the president does not need to go back a second time. That's one way to save money. All right. So, and of course, during presidents, they should have monthly briefings with the president so that they can brief him on what is happening, things like that. So a mandate is a mandate, doesn't mean that you have to do this. The perfect example I give people that don't understand, there are people that are on the president's side that would say, oh, it's a mandate, he has to go. No, he does not have to go. Because a mandate, yes, it's a mandate that the people gave him. But look at it this way. From the presidency standpoint, sitting on that seat, it is a mandate that the president needs to serve 5 years, right? Per term, right? Well, what if the president gets sick? What if he gets sick to a point where he's not able to fulfill the mandate? He has the right to resign from the president.
No, definitely. The mandate part, the president can forego, going to the top, and then use that money for something else, or even make it a light delegation. So the mandate part is not the key here. The key here is that what are you getting out of this? And then those are worth the money.
Yep. And that's the part that I'm going to get into next. I wanted to start by explaining to people that a mandate is a mandate, but he can say, I don't need to go. I am going to take that money and spend it on something else. I'm going to save the government that 10 million and not spend it on this tour. So let them individual ministers go. You follow up on your projects and you come back and give me a report with evidence. So he could do that. So now that he's in the tour and he didn't do that, and he's taking the 10 million to go for the tour, and he's in the tour and telling people what they need to do. Yes, there are things that people can do, but you've got to think from the bottom line. You've got to think about things from a people's perspective. You go to a village and they have no education, no background, no experience, don't know how, and you want them to come to be creative and do things. It doesn't work that way. The government has to lead those projects. The government has to supply them with tools and technology for them to be able to do certain things. And just like I said, from the farmer standpoint, before I get into that, let me talk about the skills center in the Barrow area in Kerouac.
Yes.
For the president to say that, the skill center is there and people are not utilizing it. Well, the president should not be walking to that during this tour to find out that people are not using it. His ministers should have known all of that. And they should have analyzed, why are people not using the skill center that we built? What is the problem? What's missing in here? And make that happen for the people so they can use it. So when the president goes there, it's already in place and is being used. Do they have everything that they need in the skill center? Do they have technology? Do they have computers? Do they have internet service there for people to go in there? People, do they have all the tools and technology? Like I said, all the support they need from the government, is it all there? If it's not there, well, the government need to provide all of those and put some encouragement in there for people to use, follow up to make sure that it's being used.
Yeah. The thing is, what he's trying to say is that, yes, people are, he built something for people to come and learn how to become carpenters, how to become, work with metals, how to create, different things. But he came back and said that they're not going there to learn the skills. So he blames it on people of Kerawan and the surroundings that they are not, motivated, or they don't want to work. Basically, the president is saying that our citizens don't want to work, even though they are provided. So he's trying to, don't you think that he's trying to build up this thing that I'm trying my best, but my people are not putting the work? So I'm doing my job.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. They need to find out why. If you build a skill center for people to go learn all these skills and they're not going, there is a reason. What is that reason? That's what he needed to find out. He should not be finding that out on the day of the tour. He should have found that out a long time ago. Okay, and take corrective actions to correct that, so people can use it. There is a reason why people are not going there to the skill center. That's what he needed to find out. So to me, I will put that in place because I know in Gambia we've built schools and schools don't have supplies. We build schools and we're not paying the teachers what they need to be paid. We build schools and we don't even have tables and chairs for children to sit down. So all of those, if you build something, you've got to make sure it's complete, it's 100% complete for people to be able to use it. If you don't have all the things that they need to be able to use it, and have the encouragement, and have the program in place, for people to use, they may not use it. They may look at it as, why do I go do this? I don't, if I go there.
No, but Sam, if we want to question that, that might not be, that might not be an argument that is strong, because if we want to find out why they didn't use it, that is something that we cannot know of head. But in your analysis, why is it that the skill centers why would President say this? First of all, that, like he's disappointed they are not using it. And then why is it that also, what do you think about what President is saying about the citizens not being able to take control of the situation in their own hands? Because we are all complaining that Gambia is hard, and the president is saying the whole world is hard. Okay, things are hard everywhere. Now, he went further and say, I have done this last year or established this here, and you guys haven't taken any advantage. Nobody's coming to do the training. He didn't say that the teachers are not there. He didn't say that we don't have personals, the facility is not in operation. Right. So if at all, that is the situation, what is your take on, the citizens there? What would be your take? And then, but if you want to question whether, did he find out why, then that we will not get, a reasonable analysis of what we're trying to find out.
So when there is a problem, you've got to find out what is the root cause of the problem. The president went there and said he said
that they are not. Basically, he's saying that they don't take it seriously. Basically, that's what he's just saying.
Yeah. Well, there is a part here still that I wanted to make clear. Yeah, if the facility has everything that's needed and people are not using it, that's one thing. Yes, the blame will go to the people. Why are you not using it? But then at the same time, any good leader with your mindset, with a great mindset, when you build that facility and you provide everything that needs to be there, and people are still not using it, you need to ask yourself, why not? You need to ask yourself. Before you go ask the people, before you go to tell the people you're disappointed, we need to know the reason why.
Because he said the reason is
They don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it. And they
Right. Well,
complaining.
so the question
So
would
why?
be,
So
why
if
don't you
people
want to
don't
do
want to
it?
come and work, the president is saying that basically you guys are lazy, or you want to just blame me.
Yeah,
And
you know, I mean, he could be right. He could be right. I don't know. He could be right that he built that and it has everything. Like I said, I don't know.
he didn't say the teachers are not there. He said,
Right.
have the skill
Right.
as center in Kerawan, and it looks like people of Baribu, Kerawan, and surroundings are not making best use of it. They don't want to develop themselves. So why are you
Yeah.
complaining?
Yep. That is true. They shouldn't complain. But at the same time, if I were the leader, if I were the president, I'm going to tell the ministry that was responsible for building those skill centers, I'm going to say, let's send people on the ground and find out why are they not using it. That's where you will get the true story, not that.
No, but that will come. But that will come. But at the point that the president is making this claim, he cannot do that. He cannot. I mean, he's just trying to show the world or
Right.
Gambia
that he has done something and people are not
he's
using
doing
it.
something, but people are not. People are not following
Yeah.
that. So let's go to agriculture.
Yep.
He said that. I mean, he said the same thing that he keeps saying. People need to go and do agriculture.
Go back
In
to
the
farming.
beginning, he gave people donkeys and stuff like that, which people criticize. Which to me doesn't really give somebody a donkey for agriculture. It doesn't really make sense. People laughed at that. People of Baribu, where I'm from,
Absolutely.
Baribu, so I
That
was a
was
little offended by that. But
yeah.
again,
That
now he's saying that they want to buy the peanuts, their peanuts. They want to sell it. They should sell it to them, to the government. No, people have the right, people have the right to sell it to anywhere they want to sell, right?
Yep.
Because we are a big country and whatever. So now, what is this claim? What do you think about the president's claim about agriculture? Do you think his claim is based? I mean, is if it's with a base or is baseless? Because first of all, if you want people to produce enough ground peanuts, they probably would have to have a way to do it. So his claim is people should be producing more and they should sell it to them. So do you think those are things that should be the way for the farmers? What is your general thought on that?
Yeah, my
agriculture is very important.
Agriculture is very important. Agriculture is a backbone of our country. Since Jawara's time, we've seen a lot of agricultural impact on our country and on our economy. We used to export peanuts, groundnut from Gambia. And we used to do a lot of it. And in fact, that groundnut has been used for oil. They were producing oil out of the groundnut. Local people were making soap out of the groundnut, the peanuts, residues and things like that. So it has a tremendous impact on our country if we do it right. Well, now we have to think outside of the box. We are not in the 18th century anymore. We're not in the 19th century anymore. So donkeys will not work. So giving donkeys to people is a slap in the face. Go farm with donkeys. Donkeys also breathe. You want to give them something that don't breathe, that you want to give them machines, not donkeys, not animals. Animals can only go so far. Animals are also going to die. They're going to work and suffer and die. Okay. And they are not they are not fast enough. They are not going to produce what you need. If you want people to go into real farming, you need to give them mechanical tools to do the real farming and be able to get hectares of farms to be able to produce the peanuts and then sell it to the government. If you only use donkeys and people's labor, own personal labor, they can only do so much. And that means the production is going to be very low. It's going to be very low production. And not only that, when people see that, I've heard it in the past years, the people that continue to do farming in the Gambia and produce peanuts, they had difficulty selling that peanut to the government. Part of the reason was, number one, the government was not paying enough. Number two, even if the government pays, they go and kind of give them their peanuts and go sit down and wait for weeks before they get their money. Who wants to do that? After you spend all this time farming and depending on that farming, knowing that this is the money that I want to get and be able to feed my family, take care of my family's need. The day you harvest that peanut and you take it to sell it is the day you need to get your cash in your hand. They should not be taking their peanuts to go sell it, and they give them a piece of paper and go, we'll get you your money. Well, that does not work. That is a discouragement. That is one thing that is going to discourage a lot of people from doing, because they're going to sit and wait and wait and wait and wait and keep going back and asking, where's our money? Where's our money? Well, come next week and come next month. We've passed that time. We've passed that time. People need to be able to get cash for their products the same day. It should be same day delivery. I bring you my groundnuts, you weigh it, measure it, and it equals to this much. Put that much cash in their hands today, that same day. If you don't do that, you're discouraging them from doing it. That's part of the fundamental reasons why people are not doing the farming. And the second reason is, of course, they don't have the technology, the machinery that they need to do that, the mechanical tools that they need to be able to do proper farming and be able to generate more products. They don't have that. Donkeys and horses and cows are not going to do that. So that's the discouragement there. And,
I think that is well definitely understood. I think doing that was really out of this thing, you know, out of line. I mean, not line, but I mean, in this modern life, modern time.
We're not in the 18th century. We don't need donkeys anymore.
But the thing is, the president is trying to show that he is doing all at his capacity. Okay, he said that the whole world is entirely suffering, which you can attest to that. I mean, like even in the US here, things are hard. I mean, I can attest to that. You can attest to that, because if you look at the price of food, okay, and price of things during COVID, I mean, before COVID and now, they have doubled. Okay, so that statement, things are hard around the world, is correct. Now, blaming it on only that and without making an action, making actions that would mitigate the issue, that is not an excuse. Blaming it on Russia-Ukraine war alone, that is not an issue. We all know that. So things have changed. Employment is an issue even in the US here. People are finding ways to be creative on their own. We have seen that too. Most people didn't go back to work. But the question right here is that this government, do you think they are doing what they need to do, or what they're doing, is it working to put us back, at least to control the issues, the crisis in the world? Because the way things are going, if it continues, I'm telling you, Gambia doesn't have a shutdown, government shutdown, or but people will start becoming violent. People will rob. People will kill to survive, and who knows?
Those are already happening.
People might start dying because of hunger.
Yep. And the answer to that question is no. Is the Gambia doing enough? Absolutely no. Are they on the right track? Absolutely no. And here's a perfect example. Yes, the whole world has suffered from the COVID-19. Perfect. We understand that. I get it, right? And then you have the Russia-Ukraine war. I get it. All of that is impacting the world. It affects supply chain, really big time supply chain, and because production is affected, so commodity prices went up. That's fine. What are other countries? So what do you do with that when you have something like that? That's impact that has an impact on the world. What do you do? Well, you take action. What actions do you do? Number one, start by minimizing or cutting down your own expenses. Right? You're going to cut down your own expenses. That's what every country is doing. Cut down your expenses. Gambia being such a small country, knowing that we're not utilizing our natural resources. So what should we do? We should cut down our expenses. So that's why I said for the president to spend 10 million going out to meet the farmer store, that's an unnecessary expense. And all this budget that they're talking about with people's salary increase, especially from the top, those are all unnecessary expenses those are things that shouldn't be happening. Instead, we should be investing in helping people from the bottom. If anything, if you're going to increase salary from the people from the bottom. Those that don't have any allowance, those that don't have any fuel coupons, those that don't have any good salary, those are the people you want to help. Because you're helping the ministers and National Assembly members and the president himself. I mean, these are people that we're already paying very much. We're already giving them vehicles and vehicle allowance, and give them fuel coupons and paying their cell phones, we're paying the rent, we're paying, I mean, all of those unnecessary expenses are already going to these people. That should be cut. The government should be cutting those and help the bottom, people from the bottom. That's where you need to help, and allow them to be also be able to afford the loaf of bread. Because if they're sitting on a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 salary, the price of the bag of rice is going up, oil is going up, flour is going up, sugar is going up, meat and fish in the market is going up, but their salary is still the same. Well, you're not helping them. You're not helping them. So the government need to cut down their own expense. But not only that, they need to be creative. They need to think about what is a sustainable development for a country? What is the future of the country? And that's why I talked about the Jahal Pachal project. That's a sustainable development. You know, people are suffering. Gambians are hungry. I mean, they're hungry. They don't have enough money to feed their families. Survival is the key there. So create something. They should have done this. I spoke about this like 2-3 years ago. They should have done something that will be very sustainable for a country. That is going to make a cost of living very cheap for people, or at least reasonable, even if it's not cheap, but very reasonable, by investing in the Jahal Pachal project. When you invest into that, that's an opportunity to be able to produce rice in our country. Instead of eating rice from other countries, we will get rice from our own country. And bring the cost down.
Right. So Jahal Pachal project, creating, creating means of
It's a long-term sustainable project.
Creating means of revenue are all good. Those are all good. But right now, what we're trying to say, because we are in November.
Yep.
Right now, what can be done to mitigate this problem within 6 months? Something that the government could just do to make sure that the situation is mitigated. That is something that we need to voice out, so that maybe they could tap into that. Because what are you saying are all long-term projects, and then again, people have been talking about that, but this government is having so much challenge. It appears that they can't even focus on one thing. Yep. If you touch here, you touch here, you touch here, you touch here, you don't make headway.
Yep. So what can have an impact? I've spoken about this in WhatsApp, in my group as well, in WhatsApp as well. What they could have done, or what they can do even right now, that's not too late. Something they can do right now, and then will have an impact in about 8 weeks. They can have an impact, and that is the government to get involved in ordering some of these commodities for people. Order the rice, since we can't plant rice today and have it today. Order rice, plenty of rice for the country, and bring it in and sell it at a very cheaper rate for Gambians to be able to survive. So they can afford that, because you haven't increased their salary to be able to afford a bag of rice that's about $1,800. If you order rice and bring it in, and which is duty-free at a lower cost with a negotiated deal, rice, sugar, flour, cooking oil, government can bring all of this. and help our people by selling it very reasonable price. They could be selling a bag of rice for about 1,000 rather than 1,800. So someone that has a lower salary can still buy a bag of rice at 1,000 today. If they do that, COVID-19 is gone, is been here and gone. We should have planned and done something since then. We didn't. And then the Ukraine war comes, and then we want to blame Ukraine war for also for all of this. Well, what have we done as a country? That's what every serious government think about the future. You always have to have a vision for your country. You see something coming, start your mitigation process. What can you do when this starts? Because you know what the end results of that is going to be. That is when they should have started. Then by now, today, we wouldn't be in this situation. So the government need to cut their own expenses and invest into something that's going to help the people.
You are talking about you talked about something very important here, which is the importing, government importing something. Now the government is saying that everything has been increased, even the cost of exports and import, the ships, the shipments, everything has been, increased, and then there's an issue of, pricing, and then the pricings of commodities. So even if you're gonna send a container abroad or bring a container, you're gonna end up paying double compared to before COVID. So that is they're making an argument that alone is gonna have an effect on the communities, the rice, other things that we import. So in order to prevent that, they're saying, let's try to cut on imports. Instead, let's try to create these things here. Rice, groundnuts, vegetables, and so forth, fruits. Let's do it within our country. So that's perfectly makes sense. We know that makes sense, because if you reduce the number of imports, you're definitely gonna be able to. Even the currency, the value of it, dollars would probably be impacted. Do you believe in what the government is saying? And then, if you believe in that could help. Are they having plans to make sure that we can harvest these things, we can have these things in our country, we can do this and make sure that we cut on, imports?
Well, the way I look at that is the government is working backwards. You don't wait until something happens, then want to take action. You want to look at situations and analyze them and take mitigation actions before they happen, right? If you wanted the farmers to get their groundnuts so you can stop importing groundnuts, you want all farmers to do the farming and farm plenty of groundnuts in the country, you should have started that long time before the rainy season and supply them with the fertilizers, supply them with the tools that they need, and allow them to go farm so that this year you can expect a good yield of products coming out, right? But you don't wait until the groundnuts are already in the ground and they're already getting harvested and say, come and sell it to us. Well, they're only going to sell you what they have. It's a small amount. If they had tools and fertilizer long time before the rainy season, they could have produced more. You see what I mean? So to me, they're working backwards, and you cannot stop the imports before you have sufficient in your country. You have to have a sufficient supply in your own country, the production in your country, before you stop the import. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You stop the import, well, there's not enough supply in your own country. What are people going to do? You're going to make matters worse. Matters are going to get worse. So,
now you agree with what they say, but now how are they going to be able to make the supplies in the country?
Well, they can't.
Do you think they haven't? Do you think the government has anything in place to make sure that happens?
No, they don't. No, that's what I was just saying. They don't. They should have prepared for that, and they didn't. They don't have that plan in place to be able to stop import now or minimize import. So that's why I said So they need to plan. Like I always say, planning is very important. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if they planned this 2 years ago or last year or so, at least, and equip the farmers with what they need, they could be expecting more now and say we will. Same thing with for the rice, we would be doing less import, but you don't have that plan in place. So what do? Start planning today. It's never too late to start something. Start planning today, but take some actionable items. What are those? Use the government's power and use the negotiation power, because if you're buying more, you have a power of negotiation. The government can go to China, they can go to Japan, they can go to Indonesia, they can go to India on the behalf of the government and say, we need this much for our people. All right, we need this much. Because you're buying more, you have the power to negotiate less price, less cost. They will give it to you for less cost, and you're going to import it and bring it duty free. All right, you're just going to pay shipping part of it, bring it duty free. Then that's when they analyze. This is part of the government's responsibility. Analyze how much cost did they give you the bag of rice. All right, you can sell the bag of rice at cost. When we're in difficult times, you don't look for profit. You want to just break even just by helping your people to be able to make ends meet. So if the government, for example, each bag of rice cost them $900 to import it into the country with their buying power, with the negotiation. When they bring that, they can turn around and sell each bag of rice the same 900 or 1,000, right? Just 1,000 to be able to break even and still meet the demands of the people without imposing anything on the people, right? And at the same time, the government gets that money back. So nothing to lose there. They will get that money back and continue to do this while they have their plan in place to be able to prepare for next year rainy season for peanuts, and which is groundnuts, and have a long-term plan for rice cultivation in the Gambia. That's going to help.
Exactly. So that would actually be a long-term
plan. That's the thing. But now they have to plan something.
Yeah. Now, instead of focusing on road construction, I'm not saying the road construction is not important.
Yeah.
Don't you think that people's well-being, when it comes to eating, the stomach to be full, to be able to think right and become healthy, instead of going on physical infrastructure, why couldn't they, this government, when they come to power, focus on irrigation first, making sure that most of the money that has been brought up in this country was focused on irrigation. They can map irrigation, like you said, from Jahel Pachar all the way to Badibu area to Kiang.
Yeah.
That could have at least enabled people to cultivate rice at all times. Secondly, why don't they be able to give incentive in agriculture? Like the government is saying that they can buy people's peanut. Okay, you're getting to buy them their peanuts, but you got to give them something that is more than anybody can give. Otherwise, they have to go somewhere else and sell it. So the revenue, in order to make money, you have to spend money. That is how business works, right?
Yep.
The more you spend, the more you make. Now, if the government really want to make sure that we feed ourselves, they will focus on agriculture, on gardening, on that basically can feed somebody by spending a little bit. You don't even have to spend much, because if we have, the more we have, the more the supply, the more the demand, the less the demand, and price goes down. This is economics 101, correct?
Supply and demand. Yep.
Yes. So the price goes down, and everybody start getting happy and be able to afford. But the reason why the prices are going up, because we are not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So, like you said, we are doing things backward, like you said. So my thing is, what the president is talking about on this tour are all things that he should have done 5 years ago when he came to office.
That's exactly what I said.
But he was busy. He was busy politicizing things. Okay, by building Basse Road. I mean, which is fine. I mean, roads are fine. People can mobilize. I mean, move from one place to another. Those are good things. But I'm saying there are other priorities that need to be taken care of. Today, if he had spent all that money on agriculture, on irrigation, on cutting cost, on feeding, I'm telling you, when people's stomachs are full and they can go to sleep, then everything else is extra. It's a luxury. But I don't think these people understands that. So I hope they're listening, because that's what they need to focus on. You might not see the impact of it. You might not see the impact a lot because people are eating and you're not seeing any big bridges or whatever to make a political statement. But you are actually changing lives because people are feeling their well-being has been, has been improved. So that's what we call social infrastructure. You are maintaining people socially, not like physical infrastructure. So our governments usually, and this happened during Jammeh's time too, they bring in big elephant projects. And at the end of the day, to make a political statement, but at the end of the day, it bite them behind their back. Because you know why? People are not happy. People are not suffering. They are suffering. They're complaining. And those who cannot afford it end up stealing or begging. So my question to you is that, do you think this government can turn things around with all these implementations that we are doing, or they don't have the expertise, or do they have the expertise to do so?
The answer is, a short answer is no, they can't turn it around because they have the wrong people in the wrong places.
They don't have the expertise.
We don't have the leadership to do it.
Okay.
So that is my short answer. We don't have to.
Do you think the citizens are to be blamed?
Say that again.
Lack of action. Do you think the citizens are to be blamed for lack of action?
No, citizens are not to be blamed. Citizens went to vote in elections to elect a president, and they went to vote in elections to elect National Assembly members. All right, for them to make decisions that are good for the country for them. If those decisions are not happening, while citizens can be blamed. Citizens can be blamed for, well, citizens are going to regret why they voted, but it also becomes an eye-opener for them not to vote for them in the office again, because they've seen what happened, right? That is the eye-opener for the citizens, because right now, there's nothing they can do because they've already voted and they gave them 5-year mandate. So the 5-year mandate is coming. They're going to serve the 5-year mandate, but they should have learned their lessons. When someone goes, I mean, it's just like in the whole world. You hire one person and you put them in a position in a leadership role. And within 1 year, you don't see any change. Second year, let's say 1 year, normally give and take. 1 year, the first year of somebody in a job, they're learning. They're also learning. Second year, they need to start to put some actions in place, right? By the third year, they become an expert. If you don't see that in your president, you don't see that in your leaders, well, after 5 years, don't vote for them again because they are the wrong people for you. You need to look for the right people that are going to do it for you. So that is our problem in the Gambia. So that is the blame that I will blame the citizens for. But the citizens had every trust when they were voting that we are going to vote for this person, and this person is going to do the job for us. And okay. You're correct about infrastructure. And I said this before focusing on infrastructure, especially building roads. And so that I don't forget this, when you said building roads in the Basse area, something just came in my mind. Recently, there is something on the news that drivers are protesting. They're complaining that the bridge that they built there, they want to charge them $150 to cross it. They're charging them. And you don't do things like that. You built the bridge for people to have easy access, to be able to have an easy traffic flow there without any announcement on the radio and television. You turn around and send people out there and they start collecting from them. boy, are you helping people or are you hurting them? If that's the case, then leave the road the way it was. Let them still manage to continue to travel.
It's like a trap, right? It's like a trap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the focus should have been, look at our health sector, the healthcare of the people, very, very important. Agriculture, very, very important. Education, very, very important. Fisheries, very important. There are things that we could have focused on, especially the health of the people. That's where we should have started. We should have started with a very good healthcare plan for Gambia, with great facilities, hospitals, and supplies to make sure people can get their good healthcare without going to Senegal, because not everybody can afford to go to Senegal. Not everyone can afford to fly overseas for treatment. So get that intact first before you spend those millions on the road, because those roads have been there since Jawara's time, and people have traveled on those same roads. They've managed to travel on them. We could patch the roads and then take care of healthcare first, then turn around when you prioritize these things.
Right.
Then get to the road.
These are misplacements of priorities.
Exactly. Okay. So that all comes to leadership.
Leadership. Now, yes. The other thing is, a president has mentioned that God put him there, and nobody can remove him if God is not ready to remove him. So we started to see the same tone that Jammeh used to make. And it reminds me of things are not going right. When it started, things are not going right, you are fist fighting the situation. You are throwing empty punches in the air. You don't know what is agitating you, because you are seeing an uprise of emotion, an uprise of this, people unhappiness. And now you're trying to assure people that, listen, no matter what happens, God put me there. So these things that you are making, all these speculations you're making, or all these negative comments, it's not gonna move me anywhere. Do you see any kind of, do you smell anything on that statement? God put me, because he didn't say that when he first came in power. He didn't say that. He used to say, even praise diaspora. Without the diaspora, we will not win. We will not be here. They collected money, they sponsor us, and in the morning when we wake up, we will say, what does diaspora say? What is Facebook and other things are saying? But now he is going on propaganda that God put him there, and only God can remove him. So the tone has changed. Are you smelling something? Are you sensing something with this?
Well, when I hear things like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is God never voted you in. God did not go to elections to vote for you. God may have written sometime, in your lifespan that you may become a president, or you're going to become president, but it has to go through the people. People are the ones that are going to make you president, right? And it's the same people that are going to take you out, not God. It's the same people that elected and put you in there are the same people that are going to, this time or at some point, be dissatisfied with your service and change their minds and vote for somebody else. That's how you come out. And that will not be God, that will not be God. God does not vote anybody in.
So but what is the reason of mentioning that now? What do you think?
It is all political. It's all political, and it's a political statement to get in the minds of the people, knowing that this is how Gambians believe. Gambians believe that everything that happened is God. Well, God does not water your garden if you don't go to the garden and water your garden. Right? So Gambians have this belief that everything is God, everything is God, everything is God. So when you start to talk about God, when our presidents start to talk about God, like Jammeh did and Barrow is doing now, they are getting into manipulating the people's mindset of believing in that, well, nobody can take them out. Only God can take them out. so people have that mentality, so that people can say, well, we might as well vote for him because God put him in there. No, you don't have to vote for that person. If you're not satisfied with their service, you give your vote to somebody else. And that's how that somebody else is going to win. And this is how they're going to find out that, well, it's not God that put them in there. It's the people that elected them. And the same people turned around and gave their vote to somebody else. Now they're gone.
Just like
how Jammeh found himself.
Just like how they did with Jammeh.
Yeah.
Another thing he mentioned also, that was also, people are, questioning, or people are wondering why that now. And this is also another Jammeh ways, I could say. He mentioned that the person who's going to be next president is going to be younger than him. What do you think is that? What do you think? What is the reasoning? What do you think is the reasoning behind that statement? Because this is the first time we're hearing that, and Jammeh also said the similar things during his time.
Those are the things that I say only God knows. Only God knows who is going to replace him. Right?
No, not who is going to replace him. He said why, but why saying that, mentioning that?
No, I know. So
he's going to be younger than him. There, I mean, he mentioned two things. Younger. Why is that important? Or why mentioning that?
That is his belief, but only God knows what's going to happen. We will find out, and time will tell.
No.
If he says that, if he says that, why? The question, why is he saying that? Well, exactly. is a political statement as well. That is a political statement to discourage anyone that's older than him.
Like you and I'm not older than him. Maybe you.
Is to discourage anyone that's older than him to give up. That's a political statement for those people to give up. But the answer is that the reality is he is not God. So he can't tell you what to believe. God knows what's going to happen. So I take that statement as, you know what, I put in the trash. That doesn't mean anything.
So that means he is just trying to make sure that any opposition, because it has to be targeted towards the opposition.
That's it.
Any opposition who is older than him, you better pack your bags and leave, because there's no chance. In other words, he's just trying to say that, openly.
It's a discouragement. Is that trying to discourage those people, discourage their mind, but those people know that he's not God. So that is a false statement. They already know that. That's a false statement.
It's a political way.
Yeah, it's just
some young people are saying that, oh man, I have a chance. I mean, because President said this. Do you think those people are also being flattered or something?
Well, I'm going to ask those people, do you believe in what the president said versus what Allah said? I believe in what Allah says than what any president in the world says.
I've seen some statements that some youths are saying that this is an encouragement for us, because that means when we are next online.
It can be, if to them, and again, it's a political statement that gets into people's mindset, but in reality, it's false. It's in my mind, that is false, because only God knows who's going to be the next president of the Gambia. So I take that as a false statement, but it's a discouragement to the older folks and encouragement to the younger folks to follow him. Hopefully, if they have that belief, that mentality, that because they're young, if they follow him and be with him or get into politics, they can someday win and become president. Well, it's a chance of 1 in a million, right? Gambia is about 2 million people, and only one person can win. Not very many people. So who is that one person? Only God knows. They could be older than him.
Yeah. Right. I think it's also a way to get the young folks to like him, or
well, liking him. Young folks can like him, but they all gonna know that there are only 1 in a million. So who is going to be that person? We don't know. Only God knows.
Yeah. Another thing is overall, just to trying to wrap this up, the amount of money, 10 million, went to this. You're gonna go and meet the farmers, right? I'm gonna go and meet Sam.
Yeah.
Spending 10 million. What is the reasoning behind that? You know, do you have to meet, do you and your entire entourage, your White State House, have to go and meet these farmers, or is you and your key advisors or key areas?
Yeah,
Why have this delegation of spending 10 millions?
that's why I
What is
want
the reason? What is the sense behind that? And you already admitted that the world is hard, things are hard, prices are expensive. Why can't you use at least quarter of that or 1/8 of that and go with 10, 15, 20 people?
you know why?
You can do a meeting with 10, 15, 20 people. Why take all
Yeah,
these people with you?
yeah,
You're still doing the same thing again and again. We're expecting different results. That is the
yeah,
definition of insanity.
yeah. You know why? Because they're in for their own pockets. The more people goes, the more money they're gonna claim for their
Per
per
diem,
diems
per
and
diem, you mean the per
allowances.
diem? Yeah.
Well, and per diem and allowances that should not be spent at this time. It's unfortunate. We're in a situation, our country is in a situation where 10 million should not be spent on that. That whole presidential tour should have been canceled so they can save that 10 million and turn around and give it to the hospital. Spend it on the hospital, spend it on something else, or at least save the money rather than having people go out on that kind of a tour. And this is why I urge the National Assembly members to revisit that mandate and change it to once a year instead of twice a week to a year. Once a year, presidential tour is enough. Because here's the reason. You're going to repeat the same thing that you did last year. You're going to meet the same people that told you we want fertilizers, and you didn't give them fertilizers. This year, you're going to face them again and say, sell your groundners to us. They're going to tell you we didn't have any fertilizers, or fertilizer was too expensive, 2,000 or 2,500 a bag. We're worried about a bag of rice for a family. We are not going to spend $2,000 just to buy fertilizer when we can't afford a bag of rice. That's what those people are going to say. That's exactly what they should say also. They should speak the truth and tell them that. You're going to meet the same people that you already told last time you went there. They told you their problem. Have you solved the problem? This is where you need to do a reality check. Check yourself. Last year, you went to a village. They told you their problems. Did your minister write that problem? Have you done anything about that problem before you go back there? Because if not, if you go back there, you're going to embarrass yourself. They're going to ask you the same thing again. When you were here last year, we told you we don't have drinking water, and we still don't have it. What have you guys done about this? Those are the things that they will get in some places, unless they avoid those places where they went last year and they asked them things that they didn't do anything about. They can avoid them and go somewhere else, But at the end of the day, it doesn't solve the problem. At the end of the day, it's an expense to Gambia, an expense that we could have saved. Is money that is getting spent that we should not have spent. Is creating a per diem and allowances for all those people going with him when the poor farmers can't even afford to buy a bag of rice for their people. That's what it is. So
again, we are not learning. We are doing
we're
the
not
same.
learning. We're not learning,
so it means, in your opinion, does it mean that these leaders we have, are they being forced by people to do the same thing, knowing that before they become leaders, presidents, they knew themselves that this was not right? I'm pretty sure the president now was once in our position, criticizing all these things that we are saying, that shouldn't spend 10 million on this, and they're doing it. Why is this happening? Is it that they are scared to stay away from the status quo and then become different, or somebody is forcing them to do it? You either take me or I'm not going to support you.
No.
Or what is going on? Because this president was once in our shoes, not even in our shoes, but he used to talk against these things. I believe so, when he was in UDP. So now that he's there, why can't he change? You are at the driver's seat. Why can't you make that change and say, you know what? I want, instead of spending 10 million, 1 million is enough. I go with 20 people and put the rest in the healthcare or somewhere else.
Yep,
But he's
because
entertaining the same thing, even worse, and sitting there laughing.
yep,
And
yeah,
going with these people talking all these big words out there. God put me there, shifting blames. I mean, why is this happening? And that makes me think if Sam Sise is there also,
yeah.
he would also take 10 million and go on a tour. So why is this happening?
Something like this would never happen on my watch. I guarantee you, it will never happen on my watch.
Well, I believe this is the same thing Barrow was saying.
But you see, the thing is, in Gambia, the president and his followers, they're used to getting that money that they've never had before. They've never had this kind of money before. They've never had this kind of luxury before. They've never had this kind of opportunity before. So when they got into it, even if the president says, well, why don't we cut it this year? The people behind him are going to say, no, let's go, because those are the people that are going to benefit from the allowances. The president is good enough where he is. He doesn't need to take any money from this. But the ones behind him that are all encouraging, are all coming, they all want to get something out of this. They want to make enough money out of this on taxpayers' sweat.
So in other words, the president is trying to please people around him.
That could be one reason.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be one reason. And that's when a leader, like I always say, a great leader would know how to do things. A great leader would know how to respond to things like that. If I were in his shoes, I would have said, nope. And my word is my word. I'm going to say, no, it's not going to happen. How can we go on a trip and spend 10 millions when our hospital doesn't even have labs, when we can't even conduct DNA tests in the country here, when we don't have any lab to test any medicine in our country? We just lost 70 plus children. If the president starts to speak like that, everybody will back off. And the president, being the one that has that authority to say no to something and it means no and nobody can change it, if he speaks like that, they will all back off. And he has every right to say, no, I'm not going this year. Minister of Agriculture, I want you to go. You go on your own. You go with your driver and go meet these people and your security. That's it. Go tour the country. Come tell me what you see. And I want video evidence. I want a video of every town or village that you visit. I want a video of what happened there. What did the people say? He could say the same thing to the health minister. He can say the same thing to the education minister. Go tour the schools. Go to the worst parts of the country. I want a video of those schools. I want a video conversation of you and those headmasters and the school community. You bring that to me. He could have done that. And that would not have been spent $1 million, not even 1 million. You could do that. And the president can still get all the answers. But it's because of the money that's involved in this, and also for political reasons, to still go to continue to try to convince people that they've done something in the country so that those people can still stand behind them and vote for them next time when they're actually sinking our country. They're not doing anything. They're sinking our country because they have missed priorities. They're not prioritizing what needs to be prioritized. They're not saving us money. They are actually creating us more expenses. And that is going to end up bankrupting our country.
So you think that at this point, this is not going to stop. The president has no control. And
he has control. Is he going to use the control? That's the question. Because he can say, no, I'm not going. Who's going to force him? Nobody can force him. If he says, no, I'm not going for a tour, let's save that money this year, that's what's going to stand.
Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I said.
No, I said that could cost him, because if he said no, politically, his people can be unhappy.
So what? He has already served 5 years and is serving a second term. That's enough. He can do the right thing and build his legacy out of that and just get out after 10 years. That's enough. We don't need him there for more than 10 years. We need to bring somebody else, a fresh mindset that will move the country forward. So what? You know, we're not gonna allow anybody to stay in our country forever. That's not gonna happen anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So your final thoughts on this midday farmer store, because it's been definitely a lot. We have seen them go in different areas, you know, different pockets. And also, if you think this midday farmer store is just what do you call it, a political talk, or if you think it is something that definitely is what they say it is. Your final thoughts.
My final thought is, even if it wasn't any politics involved in this, it's the waste of money. It's the waste of money at the wrong time. We don't have time for this. We don't have the money to spend 10 million on a tour when we just lost 70 plus children. And because we don't have the medical equipment to test the medicine that comes to a place. And we have not seen any restructuring done in that department to stop and prevent this from happening. We have not seen anywhere the government got up and file a lawsuit against that pharmaceutical company for losing 70 plus children. So is this the time to go spend 10 million when 70 plus children or 70 plus families lost children? No, it's not the right time, and it shouldn't be happening. And I urge the National Assembly to go back to that Constitution and remove the second mandate. Make it once a year. Presidential tour, once a year is enough. We don't need 2 terms. I mean, we don't need twice for a president to go, because it's all expense on the taxpayers when we can't solve our own problem. Cost of living is high. People can't afford to live. People can't afford to pay their rent. Medical supplies is not available. You know, education system, agriculture. We need the president to take that 10 million and spend it on agriculture. Take the 10 million and spend it on something sustainable that's going to help Gambia with a better cost of living than what they are now. So at the end of the day, it's not the best use of 10 million, period.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam, for those thoughts. And again, this is an important discussion because we touch all aspects of President's Store, and it looks like it's the takeaway from this discussion is that these stores are very expensive. It could have been shifted to something else. We could put priority to healthcare and other issues that we are facing as a country, but instead, this 10 millions going to be spent just to make a political statement, just to make kind of like a, you know, in another form of campaign, so to speak, because in this store we don't know what transpires. I mean, we meet the farmers, we're taking this many people, we don't know what discussions are taking place, meeting alcalos and so forth, what strategies have been placed. So it kind of like doesn't worth it when it comes to national development. So I think as a citizen and as a leader also, our leaders should look into ways of saving us money. If you're really doing a good job, you shouldn't be worried about, you know, politicizing things, any opportunity you have. So that is one thing. And another thing, you know, some of the statement mentioned, shifting blames to the citizen, having to, you know, say that they're not, you know, you created in training facilities for them and they're not taking advantage of that and so forth and so forth. I mean, it's your job as a leader to make sure that when you put something in place, you see it working. Put the right people there, reach out to people, audience that are going to be benefiting on this. But you cannot just sit it there and stand and say, oh, comes. No, it will not work. So they should have done better jobs, those people managing those facilities, to reach out and then create an incentive for young people to come and train. Agriculture we touched. agriculture is something that, of course, the citizens should look into it, because it is a way to feed yourself and also make, extra money in your pocket. But they don't have the tools. The tools should be created by the government to make sure, incentives are there. Even if you're gonna loan these farmers, you know, you give them tractors, you give them equipment, and you can gradually pay, but that will maximize their ability to produce more. And when it comes to selling groundnuts, if you don't want them to go anywhere, create incentive for them. Make sure that you pay them more than anybody else. But you cannot pay them and you expect them to, sell their groundnuts to you. If you want to cut on, imports, we as a nation, we should start saving, cut waste, the per diems, spend it on something that will make people to produce. Everything in this life is creating incentive, creating jobs, creating ways that will make investors come to the country and invest. These are all, economic steps that a leader need to understand. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this. These are common sense. Just have right people in place and right intention, and these things would be done. So I think we have touched all areas of his speech, and then things that are not even necessary. People, things like, God put me there. And I think those are disparate statements or political statements, or somebody who is going to replace me is going to be younger than me. What sense does that make? Who cares about that? What we care about, who is going to be the right person to lead our country so that we can be somewhere, far from where we are now. So we thank all our watchers. I mean, this has been a great program. Thank you. And Sam, thank you for your time. I think
Thank you.
our viewers will definitely have a takeaway from this.
Yep. Thank you. And have a wonderful evening.
All right. Take care.